This one is going to start with number 15. First thing we need to do with synthetic division is to put these in order from greatest to smallest. So we have 1n to the fourth minus 12n cubed, 11n, 82n, and 75. What's going to go inside of the box here with doing synthetic division is a positive 10. Okay, so I'm going to drop down my 1, multiply by 10, negative 2 gives me a negative 20. When I put those together, that is going to give me a negative 9, negative 90, which is going to give me a negative 8, which is going to give me a negative 80, which is negative 5. So remainder, number, x squared, and x to the third. So your answer is x to the third minus 2x squared minus 9x minus 8 minus 5 over x minus 10, because you take what you're dividing by and put that as a fraction. Okay, number 16 has to go in order. So first remember that when we have this, it's really going to be that. So inside the box is 4. I know that my biggest exponent is to the fifth, so I have 9. Then to the fourth is negative 32. To the third is negative 10. To the second is negative 15. Then negative 39, and then a positive 12. Okay, drop down your 9, and that's going to give me 36. When I put those together, I get a positive 4, which is 16, which is 6, 24, which is going to give me 9, 36, which is going to give me a negative 3, and this is going to give me a negative 12, so I get 0. So remainder, number, x squared, x to the third, and x to the fourth. So when I write that out, 9x to the fourth plus 4x cubed plus 6x squared plus 9x minus 3. Okay, next two. These ones, you have to actually make equations for these. So you have to use their conjugates. Okay, so I'm going to have x minus 3i and x plus 3i, x minus root 5, and x plus root 5. Okay, so I'm multiplying those together. I'm going to start with these two because I know the conjugates are going to cancel out the part that's in the middle and make life a little easier. So I get x squared minus 3ix plus 3ix minus 9i squared. So those are going to go away, and I get x squared minus 9i squared. Well, I know that I squared is really negative 9 times negative 1. So I have x squared plus 9. Now I have to go through and do the same thing on this side. Putting those two together, that's going to give me x squared minus root 5x plus root 5x minus the square root of 25. These are going to go away, so I have x squared minus 5. Okay, now I have to FOIL these two together. So what I'm going to get for this is x to the fourth minus 5x squared plus 9x squared minus 45. Put these together, x to the fourth plus 4x squared minus 45. And I know that's right because there has to be 4 roots because of the conjugates. There's 2 to begin with, so there's going to be 4 total. On number 18, I don't have any conjugates for these because they're just numbers. So I do the opposites of what would make them become 0, x plus 2, and this one is going to be 5x minus 4. Because if you solve for that, you would add the 4 and then divide by 5. So the first thing I would do is put these two together and get x squared minus 3x plus 2x minus 6. Put those together to get x squared minus x minus 6. Okay, drop down this one that you haven't worked with yet and multiply those together and get 5x cubed minus 5x squared minus 30x. And then again, I like to stack mine. So when I take all of these, I'm going to put them underneath and go negative 4x squared plus 4x and plus 24. Well, now that they're stacked like that, I can easily figure out that my answer is 5x cubed minus 9x squared minus 26x plus 24. Okay, next two. All right, 19 and 20. So for this one, we need to do Descartes for this. So remember that Descartes has to do with p of x and p of negative x. So with those, I have to decide on my sign changes. So my sign changes, it's going to be positive, negative, negative, positive, positive, negative. That just comes from the equation. And p of negative x is going to change all of my odd ones, so it's going to become negative, and the positive ones stay the same as they were before. Then positive, positive, negative, negative. So I need to look at my sign change here. Okay, so my positive sign changes, and then my negative. The question's only asking for positive and negative, so we're not going to do our imaginary or our totals. It just wants the positive and negatives. So here I have 1 sign change, 2 sign changes, 3 sign changes. So I could have 3 positives, and remember they come in pairs, so I could have 3 or I could have 1. So now I go to my negative 1. Here's 1, here's 1. So I could have 2 or I could have 0. Again, I could have had imaginary roots, but they didn't ask for that. It just asked for positive and negative ones. Number 20 wants us to factor this. So this is the same factoring as before. It has to multiply to 36 and add to negative 13. So the things that are going to do that are negative 9 and negative 4. But here's what's different about this. When you factor this, you're going to get, this is to the 4th. So I have to say x to the 4th minus 9x squared minus 4x squared plus 36. Okay, so my greatest common factor is x squared. I'm left with x squared minus 9. Greatest common factor here is negative 4, and I'm left with x squared minus 9. So then I get x squared minus 4, which I know factors down into x plus 2 and x minus 2. And then I get x squared minus 9, which I know factors down into x plus 3 and x minus 3. Okay, it told us just to factor these. It told us to find all the roots. So if I'm finding all the roots, I get negative 2, positive 2, negative 3, and positive 3 for my roots of this. 21 also wants us to find the roots of this. It's going to be the same thing, except there's a common x first. So x to the 4th minus 13x squared plus 36. I took that out in front. So this equation is exactly the same as number 20. So really, this x equals 0 is going to be the only thing that's different. So you're going to have 0, 3, negative 3, 2, and negative 2. Because it's going to be exactly the same as the problem before this, except you're adding 0 into this. 22 wants you to find the range. Range is y values. Okay, so the y values of this are 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. And those are your y values. 23 wants you to find the domain. So my domain is my x values. So my x values of this are A, C, E, G. That is really sloppy, sorry. A, C, E, G, and J. Number 24 is asking you to find the domain. Again, domain is x values. So if I'm trying to find my x values, it goes from here to here. Okay, so it has to stop and start there. So 0 and 4, well, I put them in brackets because they stop and start at those places. 25 wants you to find the range. So the range is the y values. So it goes from here all the way down to infinity. So at negative 5, it's there, and then it goes all the way to negative infinity. Well, it stops exactly at negative 5, but infinity, we don't really know where that is. Okay, so it'd be something like that. 26. 26, we know that we swim underwater. Ear pressure varies directly, so it's K times something times the depth at which they swim. Okay, so in the first part, the pressure is 4.3. I don't know my K value yet, and I know that the depth of this is 10 feet. So to find K, I'm going to divide by 10, and I'm going to get my K value to equal 0.43. Well, then I have to plug it back in for the next equation, so I'm finding the pressure when I know my K value is 0.43, and the depth of this is 60 feet. So you're just multiplying those together, and you're getting 25.8 for this.